Lance here with Root Healthy Plants. If you want to get an early start on your growing season, this is the video for you. The first thing I want to start with is why I start early. One thing is I have lights, I have water, I have soil, I have seeds. So for me, it's a no-brainer. Why not? In New Jersey, in Zone 7A, where I live, we have not the longest, but we definitely don't have the shortest growing season. So I want to take advantage, if I can, and get a jump start on our growing season so I can extend it a little bit. Just a quick overview of what I have growing here. I have cabbage started, I have broccoli started, I have cauliflower, we have squash, lots of different types of cucumber, tomatoes, lots of peppers, even a few cantaloupe, some bok choy, and I have a ton of other things that I'm in the process of getting started, and I'm transitioning things and up-potting things to move them into my second stage of my growing area. This is just where I germinate and get them started, and then I up-pot and move them into my next area. One of the amazing benefits of soil blocks is they do not become root bound. When they start searching for water and nutrients and they get to the outer edge, they hit air. And this is what we call air pruning. The roots do not search any further because there is no moisture, there is no nutrients when they hit air. So it's like they stop, they hit a wall. It's like, oh, we don't want to go any further than that. There's nothing there. It's like they're reaching a hand out and there's nothing. It's like putting your hand in water, like, okay, you're searching through water, swimming through water, and then you hit air and they have nowhere to go. So they stop. The roots stop right where they are. And then when you transplant them and you put them in soil, and now the roots have a place for nutrient development, they have a place where they can seek out more moisture, then they start to grow again. So that is an amazing benefit for soil blocks over cell trays. Another benefit of soil blocks over cell trays is they are easier to remove from the tray. A lot of cell trays, you have to like get popsicle sticks or try to find a tool or try to squeeze from the bottom or try to pop it from the bottom, and you end up ruining your cell tray. These right here, a soil block, I can take one from the side, grab it, and just easily transplant that into the next place where it's going to go, into its next growing medium. And maybe you can see the roots right here, sticking out right here, and they are currently air pruning themselves. So it's easy to transplant soil blocks. The next topic I want to touch on is when to up-pot your soil blocks. Your soil blocks will give you a visual indicator when to up-pot them. You will start to see the roots protruding from the side of the soil block, and you'll see, okay, that's when they're starting to search, and you can see the little ends of them, and they're saying and telling you, we need more water, we need more root space, we need more nutrients. Please feed us. Please give us a space to go. It's like putting a child in a small room and the child wants to run and play and have space, but you're putting it in a small room where the kid can't do anything. They're unhappy. Just like yourself, maybe. You don't want to be put in a small padded room, do you? No, you want space to be able to move and grow and stretch out and do the things you want to do, walk around. So that's what the roots want. The next thing we're going to touch on is lighting. I've tried numerous different types of lights, from your fluorescent lights to LED lights to panel lights to strip lighting, you name it. And I found that I don't need any special lights to start growing vegetables. I use regular LED lights. I like my panel lights. Sometimes I use strip lights, which strip lights are under here, right here for these vegetables, and down here, and I have strip lights for most of the rest of my vegetables because I go along shelving. But I love my panel lights because I can face my lights in whatever direction I want them, and they are a lot stronger than my strip lights have been. So I'm sure there are stronger strip lights, but I've been getting amazing success from my panel lights, and I like to just aim it a little bit more this way, aim this one a little bit more that way, for when some plants and some trees need a little bit more attention. So they have done amazing for me. It's just, if I try to put my panel lights down here where there's less space, it just doesn't work as well because they're a little bit bigger. They need a little bit more space. So my strip lights was optimal for these type of shelves right here. So it's just an example of the box. The regular LED shop lights for my panel lights right here. And then I have some regular lights, some 3-panel LED lights for this top right here. The lights that I think are best for you to use, I would say the ones that you have access to, the ones that are most cost efficient, and the ones that are most effective. So you may need to do your due diligence or trial and error. You know, that's what I did, trial and error. And I know, and I used the lights that work best for me. Let's talk about shelving. So this shelf right here, I bought specifically for growing my vegetables. But one thing that I've noticed is that I don't like particle board or wood shelving. And that's because I do watering of my plants, and sometimes the water splashes off and it soaks and absorbs into the wood, and it may warp your wood. It may start to degrade your wood. And if you have a nice amount of weight from all the soil, from the soil blocks or whatever it is, your shelf may start to bow and it's not going to stay as flat and level as you want it. That is one of the reasons why I don't like wood shelving. Now, the structure of this shelving is decent, so I think I'm going to seek out some harder or less porous shelving, maybe some type of steel, some type of metal, or we'll see what I come up with. But I'm going to find a non or less porous shelving to replace this particle board shelving with, so that I don't have a problem when I'm watering my soil blocks. Because right now I cannot bottom water because it's bowing, so I do only top watering. So that's one of the downgrades of wood shelving. But shelving matters. I do use shelving where I can put soil block trays on each side. So right now I have 8 soil block trays on each shelf. So 8 here, 8 here, 8 here, and I'm about to put 8 more on the bottom shelf right here. I haven't put anything on the bottom yet, but that's what's coming next. So I have 24 soil block trays here. There's 24 soil blocks on each tray. You do the math. That's a lot of soil blocks. But like I said, I'm going to transition them into my next stage area, and I'm going to get a ton more growing here soon. Another thing to mention about shelving is metal grated shelves, or metal shelves that have holes or grates, or some type of metal shelving that has drainage, but also for the fact that if you're going to use heat mats to help your plants germinate quicker, metal shelving is ideal. I have heat mats. I'm a little bit wary of putting my heat mats on this particle board or wood shelving, which has the more of a capacity to catch fire if something goes wrong, if something malfunctions with my heat mats. So I'm just foregoing the heat mats on these wooden shelving. So if you have metal shelving or something that's non-flammable, that is ideal for using heat mats on. I just wanted to mention that part. Another thing that I do want to mention is the fact that I've transitioned into using a dehumidifier in my basement, which is where I'm growing all of these plants here. So last year I had a problem with top watering and growing moss and or fungus on or in my soil blocks. That was a problem. Now I still had decent growth, but I put a dehumidifier down here, and that made a world of a difference. I have not had one single incident of moss or fungus growing on my soil blocks from top watering, bottom watering. It makes no difference. Dehumidifier in the space that you are starting and growing your soil blocks makes a world of a difference, and I got zero moss or fungus growth. Now, The downsides of having the dehumidifier is that your soil blocks will dry out a lot faster. You are going to have to water your soil blocks every day or every 2 days because that dehumidifier is just going to suck all the moisture starting from the outside in of your soil blocks. So they're going to deprive your plants of moisture, and you kind of got to just weigh the pros versus the cons. Do you want moss and your plant staying hydrated longer, or do you just want to put in the work, put in the effort, nurture your plants, and water them daily or every 2 days? You make the choice. I choose the dehumidifier and healthy plants. I'll come and water my plants daily. I just want to touch on the topic of heat mats one more time. And because I'm not using heat mats, because of the wood and particle board and the higher probability of these catching fire if there's an issue, I have a lower rate of germination. Now you see plenty of foliage, you see plenty of things growing. I'm happy with my rate of germination here, but heat rises and you can kind of tell that I'm having a lower rate of germination as you get lower. So a lot up here, it starts to get a little bit less, and then it starts to get even less down here. So because heat rises, it's warmer up here, and it's getting a little bit more heat, and you know, that 60 to 85 degree range. It's a little bit more towards the top and not so much towards the bottom, where my basement floor is cement, so it's a lot colder, and we're not getting consistent warm temperatures outside yet. So my basement floor and house is not heating up naturally like that. So it is what it is. I'm going to take what I can get, but I will transition some things that need that temperature change. I will transition them over to metal shelving, and I will put them on heat mats and see if I can get some of those seeds to germinate. Another thing to consider if you're going to use heating mats is inevitably, on top of what your lighting is doing to your electrical bill, the heat mats are going to add to your electric bill. So if you are growing on a real tight budget, you might want to forego the heat mats and find a different way to keep your plants warmer and a little bit more humidified until they germinate. Now, let's move on to the topic of watering. This is a very debatable topic, and I see a lot of people are torn between bottom watering and top watering. So I just mentioned a little while ago, because of the dehumidifier, I'm able to top water and bottom water, and I have no problems with fungus or mold. Now, because I'm using a dehumidifier this year, and I want to make sure that I get as high of a germination rate as possible before putting my soil blocks on a heat mat, because I don't want to have to put anything on the heat mat if I don't need to, because I don't have that many heat mats to supply all these soil block trays. What I'm doing is I'm doing a lot of top watering. You can choose the bottom water, but I've been choosing different methods of top watering. So I've went from spraying my soil blocks with a spray bottle, but eventually my hand gets tired of constantly doing that repetitive motion of spraying over and over. My fingers get tired. So what I have transitioned over to is a pump sprayer, and this has worked amazing for me, and it saved a lot of strain on my hands, and I'm able to spray a lot and get into certain spaces with this long tube, and this is amazing for top watering. I like how this little tube can get under plants, under little stems, and sneak into certain areas and spray them down. I get to be very precise, and this has worked amazing for me. I definitely recommend one of these type of sprayers right here, one of these pumps right here for spraying and watering your plants. Now, you can use water, or you can put water and plant nutrients into your soil blocks. Right now, I'm only doing water, but I'm thinking about putting nutrients into my soil blocks. My only reservation is the fact that it may start to develop some type of moss, because the more nutrients and light and moisture, that does create mold or moss. So I think I'm going to give it a shot. If you have any suggestions in the comments, or you have any experiences where you've added nutrients and developed any issues, or just want to give me your experience with adding nutrients to your water and putting them in your soil blocks, I would love to hear from you. So please let me know how that works out, or has worked out for you in the past. Overall, you can see I'm getting a lot of foliage growth, a lot of germination, and just a lot of plants benefits. This is making me feel good. This is giving me a great head start to my growing season. And it wouldn't be fair if I didn't talk about any cons. Are there any cons with growing this way? Or overall, what are my takeaway cons for growing this way? One is the dehumidifier is going to keep you watering these plants daily, 1 to 2 days. So that's one con I'm willing to live with. The second con is a lower rate of germination because of the dehumidifier, and it's drying my soil blocks out from the outside in. So if my seed is closer towards the top or outside of my soil block, it's inevitably going to dry out faster towards the top. So the seed has less chance of it staying in a moisture condition because it's being constantly dehydrated. So I have to constantly spray it. And I would say spray it every day before it germinates. Once it germinates, you have more of a window of like maybe 1 to 2 days, because your plant is going to continue to have roots that seep and search down into the center of your soil block where there's still moisture, and the dehumidifier dries it from the outside in. So like I said, there's a little bit of a lower germination rate. And one of the last things I want to mention as far as the cons, oh, my light went out. It's time to close this video out. My light went out because I have them on the timers. That's another thing to add. I use timers for my lighting. So it's almost like trying to mimic being outside. So I'm mimicking the sun. But the last thing I'm going to mention is I still get fruit flies or gnats. That's one thing I have not been able to avoid. Although because of the dehumidifier, I have had a tremendously lower amount of gnats or fruit flies, but I do get, a few fruit flies or gnats here and there, which because they're down in my basement, I don't keep food or anything down here, I don't mind it. It's not hurting any of the plants. There's no fungus, there's no moss, there's nothing else going on. The plants are completely healthy. So I can live with the lower germination rate. I can live with the gnats. I can live with the watering every 1 to 2 days. So I hope I gave you some valuable or information to at least think about and contemplate, and maybe even give it a shot. If you have any thoughts, please put it in the comments. If you have any questions, please put it in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Keep it growing.